It is my pleasure to introduce two ex-fellows. And it's a pleasure actually because I was a fellow myself, so I am playing the two roles of an ex-fellow and a member of the current board. So we will start with Marcela ULIANO, who is currently Senior Bioinformatician at the Sanger Institute in Cambridge, and she works within the Darwin Tree of Life Assembly team. I hope I said it right. She was previously a Marie Sklodowska-Curie Fellow in Berlin, in Germany, where she was indeed right before joining the Sanger Institute. And Marcela is also a TED Fellow, and she is involved in outreach activities. We also have the pleasure to have with us Luis Figueiredo, who was a Marie Curie Fellow at the University of Leeds in the UK, and is now working as a senior scientist at the Technological University of Munich in Germany. So you switched. So please, Marcela, you can share with us your, I guess, your slide or your experience. And we, indeed, I just want to remind all the participants to ask questions in the Q&A and not in the chat. And I will try and read as many as possible in the time that we have.
Okay, I will share my slides. Oi, hola, everybody. So thanks for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. It was a lovely time, my time as a Marie Curie Fellow. It was really, really nice. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay.
If you can maybe just go in presentation mode.
Play. Yeah, good.
Perfect.
Right, so I will just, tell you a little bit about my time in Berlin. So basically, just to let you know, I was studying molecular evolution of modern sloths. So the perezosos or the preguiças, right? I guess in South America, people know them. They belong to this group. They're evolved only in South America of these mammals, which are anteaters, armadillos, and sloths. And yeah, so as Donata told you, now I am a senior bioinformatician at the Sanger Institute. So basically, I have a PhD by the Biophysics Department of the Federal University of Rio de Janeiro. So I finished my PhD in 2017, and I just got the announcement that I got the fellowship 2 weeks before I defended my PhD. So you guys can imagine how happy I was defending my PhD with the grant approved already. So it was really nice. So basically right now I work in the Darwin Tree of Life project. We are basically building reference genomes for all of the eukaryotic biodiversity in Britain and Ireland. So it's more than 60,000 species, which we are just producing these high quality genomes for and studying evolution, yielding these genomes for conservation, and etc. Right, so in terms of my Marie Curie Fellowship, it was approved in February of 2017. So just to tell you how it was, like my process was, right? And I also thank you for this opportunity to remember this lovely time and everything that happened there. It was nice to, go back and put all of these slides together. So so then as soon as you receive your answers on your email, then you basically have to sign the grant agreement, read everything, right, and do the signing of the formal documents, and then you have to decide a date to start the project. So in my case, I decided to start it in October of that year. So I was just finishing my PhD, as I told you, and then I needed some time to finish up some papers and things in Brazil before I moved to Germany. So I started in October and finished in September of 2019. So so basically as soon as, in October, I found, like a bit earlier in September, I found my way to Berlin from Brazil. I guess this is important for you guys to know that you get your first salary and your mobility allowance and everything after the first month that you will work. So you got to find your way to the place that you're moving to. The institute that I was working as a fellow was the Leibniz Institute for Zoo and Wildlife Research. And I was basically based in the Berlin Center for Genomics and Biodiversity Research in Berlin, which is a department or basically a bioinformatics hub of the IZW and other institutes in Berlin and in Germany. And I mean, I'm very bad with bureaucracy. So this is, I gotta say that the Forschungsverbund Berlin, which is this institution that deals with institutes in East Germany, it was the ones that were taking care of my grant. And then there was a specific person that was talking to me through the portal and sending me emails and then keeping me up to date with everything I needed to do. And when I needed to talk to them, they were very helpful and they were always talking to me. So this was really nice. So it's also for you to know that sometimes it's not necessarily your institution that is going to take care of your grant, is some other like high level institution in the country that you're going to. Yeah, so then throughout my fellowship, basically I needed to do have 2 deliveries basically throughout the 2 years, apart from doing a lot of research and going to the conferences and everything. So basically my research involved non-human, non-threatening animal tissue for DNA sequencing. And then this required an ethics statement, just basically explaining all of the legal requirements. I mean, which kind of sample it was, from where it was, and, you know, if it was Nagoya, if it wasn't Nagoya, and then all of the documents needed. And then as it was a non-human, non-threatened species, and it was from a Berlin zoo, I only needed to have this in a statement. I didn't need a lot of extra documents. And yeah, and the second delivery, it was basically the career development plan that you guys heard about. So mine was basically a 3-page document with, you know, paragraphs and bullet points talking about what were my 5-year plans from that point on, which research results I was expecting, the skills I wanted to improve, which publication I would like to have, the networking I would like to do during the Mahikuhi, and also in the future. My time is gone. So basically, I had these 2 deliveries throughout the 2 years, and then at the end, 60 days after you end your fellowship, you got to give your final report. They have a format if you like to, you know, follow the format. Basically, mine had 17 pages. And one thing that is important to say is that it's not necessarily to talk only about your research results. It's also to talk about your networking, your transfer of knowledge from the institute back to you, and so on. So these 2 aspects are important there. And then finally, I just want to say your publications, sometimes they take a bit longer, right? So this is one that is going to come out very soon, and I'm very proud of. I was part of this very big genome project too, which involved the species that I was sequencing. And basically, after you finish your grant, you can also, you know, and you should update your publications in your continuous reporting in the website. So thank you for listening. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for your presentation and for your overview. Liz, if you want to share your slide.
Sorry, I just realized I was muted. Let me share it.
No worries.
Okay. Right, can you see it?
Yes, indeed.
Oh, okay, good. So talk about my experience on Leeds, and I agree with Marcela. I mean, it's really good to revive the time. I remember when I got the notice, I was already in the UK at the time, but it's really good. I mean, it's a really good feeling, and the time it's an amazing period of your research time. So okay, my research was very, very different. It's about robotics. I try not to add anything about it, but I failed, so that will be a bit. But in general, I just want to talk a bit about what I had as an experience and things that I missed, that I just realized that I could have explored more afterwards. This kind of things are always going to happen, right? So one of the things is try really to explore the Marie Curie Fellowship when it's a really good name and it's really opens doors for you in Europe. I didn't know that much before when I got the fellowship, and talking to people around and presenting and realizing that having this logo really makes a difference. Like it really opens doors. So make it out there. I think this is the most important thing is the research performance. As researchers, you know, we are measured by our publications, and everyone expects us to publish a lot. But during this time, it really you are measured basically about publications and about award that you have, and you just got a really big award. So you have a period, like have 2 years that you can really dedicate to yourself. And this was my experience. My research involved a lot of robotics and human-robot interaction. And doing that, I realized that I was basically doing just robotics. I was not doing human-robot interaction. I never really pay attention to the human in the scene. Like we always assume that the person is gonna take care. The hard part is the robot, and it's not for us. So I spent 2 years really investing in myself, integrating to groups of biologists, group of neurophysiologists, understanding the biomechanics of the body, understanding economics in the industry, and how I could use all that information, really learning the muscles that it's something that I never thought that I was going to do it again, and how they interact. So I could really make a system. So really understand, really improve myself as a researcher. And of course, if you are exploring new fields and taking like a big jump and interdisciplinary jump, there is a time that you're not going to publish as usual because you're learning a lot. But once you have it, then you are the first. Then you are a new person in the field. You are developing a new field, and this is really the time to do that. So it's really the time to invest yourself, to think big, and to try new things. You have 2 years for that. So it's really, that was my experience. That was the best thing for me. I really got a lot of that. Dissemination, this is the part that I was saying that, you should do that. I didn't. So outreach, this kind of, have the name out there, like talk to the university. I remember the university was always keen to get to the fellows, to contact me, to know more about my research. And the universities are really interested to put out the research that you are doing. So talk to them, put out there the information that you have. They will publish, they will make out there for your Twitter and so on. And that's good for you, that opens doors. Try to explore a lot of your research, and this is the part of things that I've done. I'm glad. Your supervisor, really connect to it, to the team. Try to jump in different European projects that are involved, so you can really grow your network. I was new in Europe. I came from I did my PhD part in Brazil, part in the US. So it was good to me to get that network around Europe. I knew the names, but I didn't know them personally, and your advisor does. So from the really practical aspects, whenever you get lost, and you may get lost because it's a big project usually, go back to your package there. You wrote the guidelines, what you want to do. So if you got lost, just go back there and see what really you need to do. That really helps. Explore your institute as much as you can. Explore your students and the possibilities, not explore your students in the bad sense, but try to connect and get a PhD student to work with you, something that you are aiming at a big project. I mean, you got a Marie Curie, so the more people connected to your research, the better. So that's good. I got some students to work with me that I mentored, and you can publish much more with them and get most of your fellowship. But keep in mind that 2 years is just like this presentation. It's always running out of time, like it did, and it's go really fast. So think ahead, plan, which I didn't, but plan ahead and think about applications and use your fellowship when you're applying in the future as well. That's a really good, even financially, it helps. All right, I'm out, right?
Yes.
But that was it. Yeah, and enjoy your research. I think that's the most of it. Like you gotta love what you
do. Okay. Okay, so we have a few questions, a couple of questions for one for both of you. So maybe you can explore this. I mean, like, like in this time. So there is Vinicius Cota, and I'm very sorry for the pronunciation. So he's asking, as Brazilian, and he's as well, how do you, if you feel that it's relevant to have a MSCA fellowship within the academic community in Brazil? I think it's a political question, I guess.
I think it's more prestigious in Europe, isn't it? In a way, I mean, I guess people know it more in Europe than they know in Brazil, I would say.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, of course, any fellowship it counts. It's important, but the name really it makes a difference in Europe.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Still, once again, from both of you, so when did you start applying for the fellowship, or I don't know, for the fellowship? Oh my God, was it hard to? Was it hard to find a job after you have got your basically after you finish your fellowship? Was it hard to get another position? I guess, Anna, I hope I formulated right there your question.
So, yeah, sure.
You're not.
No, I mean, of course, depends on the fields and depends on a lot of things. I finished my fellowship right on May last year, so it was the peak of the coronavirus, and that was not good. But I would say that it was actually not that hard. When you show that you are a fellow and you got this big award, people usually are very interested to hear you and to talk to you. And I'm very not well organized, so I left it to the last minute. And even so, people are very welcome. I think it really opens door when you're reaching, and you can also, and as I was saying, the positions I got, I was always negotiating the salary because you're earning well as a Marie Curie fellow, and this is something that in the next job that you got, if you're moving countries as I did, it's something that you can say, right, this is the lower bound.
Well, I gotta say that, I mean, as Brian said, in Germany, it's a bit sad. I mean, I was a bit sad with the cuts that you have for Social Security and everything. I was like, but I mean, not complaining. Is a great country to live, and you know, the money that they take from you comes back in your everyday life in a way, so it's not a problem. But yeah, so it's funny. I think I am the opposite of Luis. I am a very anxious person by nature. So like at the end of my 9 months in the fellowship, I was ready, oh my God, in my next job, how is it going to be? And all of the papers I need to put out and things. But you know, one great thing that I think that I went to a very nice institute, which also connected me with very big researchers, or let's say well experienced, and you know, the best researchers in genomics in Europe. And the connection that I had to the consortium that I was working on, which is the VGP, the Vertebrate Genomes Project, got me in contact with my current boss at the Wellcome Sanger Institute. So that happens, you know, that basically if you have a nice postdoc project and you network and you know make it part of something larger, also you will make it easier for you to get a job after. So that helped me a lot, I guess.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, like, indeed, there are, sorry, in the interest of time, I tried to combine the different questions, but there is a general question about the number of publications that you had. If you had, so which was, let's say, your publication record when you submitted your application, and then if you got it at the first time that you applied, and if you got any help from the institute where you with whom you submitted the application. So yeah, Luis, if you want to go ahead, and then I'm Marcela.
So the second question, I think that's really important. I mean, of course, the application is fairly easy, so and the university is very welcome to help you. But it's really important that you are talking with your supervisor, because it is quite clear if your project is written by yourself and your supervisor is not there. It's kind of hard for you to really connect and explain how there is going to be an interaction there. So it's good that he's involved, he or she is involved, sorry, since the beginning and well integrated. And for the first question, sorry, my memory is still.
No, it was how many publications you had when you submitted your answer or when you won the.
I think that's really hard to grasp in it because it's so different between fields. There are fields that you have very few publications, and there are fields that people expect you to have millions. So it's I don't think that's a fair question. It's really dependent on your field.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I gotta say I had like around 13, but I started working again, anxious by nature. I started working in a lab in my first semester at uni as an undergrad. So even when I was studying biology before my master's and my PhD, I was in a lab that really treated the undergrads as postdocs if they wanted. So I was, publishing together with people in the lab. So that helped a lot, I guess. But I also think that if you have fewer than that, they are good publications, they are yours, they will consider you. It's not related to amount, I would say. I really think so. And the project has to have all of these parts, right? So I guess the other thing was this outreach thing. So I did a crowdfunding during my PhD, and then I became a TED Fellow. All of this thing also helped, but you also don't need to be a TED Fellow to get this fellowship. What I mean is that if you have the different parts and you put it out there, but you have 2 or 3 publications, you'll be considered. It's not that. But I need to say something that I'm very proud of. I got 100% score in my MSCA, which was amazing, which I think is nice. I did know already the person that was my supervisor in Berlin, and she worked with me very closely writing the grant. So I started like 4 months before the deadline, I think. It took me around 3 months I read it many times. I asked other people the project and everything to compare and things. And then Camila, she was a lot integrated. And I do think, if you guys got to this point, you have been already filtered from a very competitive pot, and I do think that it shows in your project that you don't have a very big contact with the university or the institute that you are applying for. If it will be there, so you gotta be communicating with your future boss a lot, I guess.
And sorry to interrupt you, Marcela. There was a question about indeed the connection with the national contact point, both in Germany and in Brazil, if you had any support or any connection with them.
Yes, I remember that I was writing the grant and I wrote someone in Germany 3 or 4 times that I found it in the website, and they answered my inquiries. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. There is sorry, Luis, if you want to, I don't know, add anything to that?
No, not really, because I'm ashamed to say that I didn't know much about the fellowship. I was in the US and then in Brazil, and I didn't know much. It was my advisor in the UK who introduced me to the fellowship.
Okay, thank you. So there is, oh my God, a lot of questions you had. So there is a person that, is asking about contacting you directly, Marcela, and maybe you can just redirect to her. You can answer to her message privately. So privately, so if you want to
where is it? Is it in the
Silvana Oliveira in the Q&A section.
Okay.
So you can choose to be contacted or not via email. I leave it up to you. And there is actually, I think this is also important. To think about the about the European experience. If you had time, but if you still have time, let's say, or if you had time during your fellowship to enjoy the place where you were carrying out your project.
Oh, absolutely. Berlin is awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, the same. You gotta enjoy. You gotta release a little bit, travel around, enjoy. Europe is a really good place to travel. So
yeah.
Okay.
COVID.
Yes, yeah, not now.
Yeah, COVID-free indeed. Okay, so there is Eleanor Blero, sorry for the pronunciation, for Louise. I mean, like, so she's saying that she will be doing her fellowship at Leeds too. And if you have any suggestion, it's a very specific question, and she will be moving from Australia.
Okay. So I don't know how Leeds is now with COVID, but Leeds is a great city. I really love the city. UK people often think about London, but Leeds it's a big city, it's the third largest, and it's really well connected. York around to live. It's an amazing place. So I'm pretty much sure that you'll have a great time. The university is beautiful, it's in the city center. So I can only say good things. I could talk half an hour about it. So to send me a message, I can talk to you about it.
Okay, that's great. Yes, I one last question before we close this session. One second. I don't want to leave anyone out. So there is Toshiro Sawa that is asking. So so congratulations to you, Toshiro. He was accepted for an individual fellowship, and it will start soon this year. I have some paper under review. If they are accepted and after the start of the fellowship, do I need to acknowledge MSCA the action? If they are not accepted, what is your point of view on keeping working on these papers, which is indirectly related to the action, but falls outside of it during the fellowship? I hope that my question was clear, more or less. So basically, if they are published during the fellowship, should he acknowledge the action, or if not, if he's gonna go on working on the research? I mean, if he's still going to have to acknowledge the fellowship?
I would say no, right? As long as they are the 40 hours or 37 hours working for the project, if they're finishing something out in their spare time, it wouldn't be related to the I think, but I don't know. That's a legal question.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I think that more or less we have covered most of the yeah, I think, I mean, like maybe one last point, but I mean, Marcela, you already touched on this. I mean, like how you were introduced to your supervisor or your host. And instead, Luis, for you, I mean, like, because there have been a couple of people asking about how you contacted or how you reached out or how you got in touch with the supervisor. And then we close the session, if that's okay.
So I can tell about myself and after that as well, because I think that's interesting. So on my case, to be fair, I was a PhD in Boston at the time, and my supervisor in the UK was a postdoc over there at the same time, and we actually didn't met. I just remember his face in the coffee place around, but then he was looking for a postdoc at one point, and we started talking. And he was a former fellow, and he just asked me we should apply, and we started writing the proposal. And that's when I actually found out about the fellowship. But after I got it. I actually sent a lot of friends of mine from Brazil to to be fellows. Some of them got the fellowship, so that was nice. And usually your lab they have connections, and my lab in Brazil when I did my master's, and my lab in the UK, they have so many connections in Europe. And it's basically the fact that connecting them and start talking with your advisor in Europe, they will be so happy to write the proposal with you. It's a great researcher that they will have like paid for European Union, so they will be super happy. And then start talking, write the proposal, something that is interesting for you and for your advisor or supervisor in Europe. And that's it. That's the best way, I would say.
Yeah, I also do think his connections. My PhD supervisor knew Camila too, and he introduced me to her first, and then we discussed a postdoc project. So that was how it happened. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, indeed. I mean, like, I think it's really, I guess that, I mean, it's very important. I mean, like, also, if I have to take on my experience, I mean, it's really important to, if you can rely on a network also
Yeah.
at the personal level, but also through your supervisor, and maybe take it from there, because it's true that you need some degree of interaction with your future supervisor. And
but we could say one last thing also, right? If someone really wants to work with someone that they don't know,
Yes.
I think you should contact them, but also like make it as succinct as possible in a way. If you're sending an email with the information that you want to put it out there, because also, so don't ask people to do the job for you, to kind of interpret your words and things. So just, you know, edit it a bit, and then send the message that you want in some papers, links or things together. I think you should also go for that. It's, you know, it's fair. Yeah.
I would say that, yeah, don't be afraid of contacting people, even if you don't have the network. It's good to have, but you shouldn't be restricted by it.
Agreed.
That's true. That's true. And yeah, indeed. I mean, like, okay. I think, I mean, like, we have more or less replied to well, at least most of the questions. I hope I didn't leave anything important out. Well, thank you everyone for joining today. Thanks a lot for sharing your experience. It was a pleasure to meet you, although through Zoom. Well, I mean, good luck for your future career. I mean, like, for your current work and for your future career. And good luck everyone else. I mean, that tuned in today.
And congratulations, the new fellows. I mean, it's really good. Your guys are gonna.
Yeah, enjoy, guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.